a couple verses down, it says, "Then the anger of the Lord burned against Moses." That's something serious. And I know it's not popular to say the anger of the Lord is real. All you have to do is look in here and see the anger of the Lord burned against Moses. And I don't want the anger of the Lord burning against me. I want to listen to what God's calling me to do. And I don't want to argue and say, I'm really not that good at it. I really can't. I can't. By the way, I'm going to push the pause button. I'm going to do a commercial for the Bible. If you've never read the entire Bible from front to back, you need to do that. I've been a Christian for a long time. I'm 46 years old, and no one ever told me you need to read the whole Bible, every single word, until 2 years ago. And a blogging friend of mine, Mom's Toolbox, she runs a program called Bible in 90 Days. And she contacted me and said, I think it would be awesome if you did the Bible in 90 days and you could blog about it and think about how many people would read the Bible. And I said, I can't do the Bible in 90 days. I don't have the time to do that, Amy. And she kept on emailing me, texted me and called me, and I really think you'd be the perfect person to do this. You can do it. I'll do it with you. Come on. And so I said, okay, but it's not going to work out. I'm not going to be able to do it. Well, I did it. I read the whole entire Bible. It took me 101 days, but I read it from the first word to the last word, and I was so proud of myself. And I was shocked that no one had ever said, you should do that. So I'm telling you right now, you should read the whole entire Bible. You can do it. It's hard, but you can do it. I woke up an hour, 45 minutes earlier than normal every morning before my kids woke up and read as much as I could, and I just kept on going every day, one more day, until I read the whole thing. And that's something you should do. Another person in the Bible is in Judges chapter 7, Gideon. God said, I have this plan that you're going to defeat these people that are very numerous, and you're going to do it, and I'm going to help you with it. And Gideon said, okay, I will do that. And so he gathered all of his men and had a huge army. And let me see if I can find the number of the army that he had. 22,000. And God said, Gideon, the people who are with you are too many for me to give Midian into their hands, for Israel would become boastful, saying, my own power has delivered me. See, God wants to use ordinary people with problems and weaknesses like Moses, who wasn't a very good speaker, to do the speaking. Otherwise, we would become boastful and say, look what I did. So, if you're ordinary, thumbs up. Jonah, you probably know the story of Jonah. God said, I want you to go to Nineveh, and you're going to tell the people repent. And Jonah said, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to go the other way. Anybody got a 2-year-old? I heard what you said. I'm just not going to do it. And God made his life uncomfortable to the point that Jonah decided he had better do it. And that's kind of parenting I practice too. God used Jonah, an ordinary person, to accomplish his. And Jonah didn't have the same thought in mind. Like, this is not going to work out. I'm not suited to this. I don't want to do it. It would be hard to do it. And God said, yes, you're going to. And that was what happened. What about the boy in the New Testament that brought his lunch, the loaves and the fish? Don't you love it? There are 5,000 people, nothing to eat, and one boy has a sack lunch. And he says, here, Jesus, take what I have and make it enough. That's what I pray every day. Take what I have and make it enough to feed everyone in my house who needs me to give to them. I don't have enough, but Jesus can make it enough, just like he did in the Bible. Okay, those are Bible people, so they're kind of far removed, even though I think they're very valuable. Let's talk about real life people today. You might have heard of Kisses from Katie. It started out as a blog, and now it's a book that you can buy. It's a fascinating story of an 18-year-old girl. She was homecoming queen at her high school, and she graduated. She was super smart. And she told her parents, I'm going to go to Uganda, I believe it was, just for a year, because, I want to do some mission work. And they're like, yes, just for a year, because you're so smart. You can do all kinds of things back here. You're going to be so successful. Well, she went to Uganda at 18, and she's still there. And she has adopted, when she was 19 years old, she had adopted 11 girls. That's nuts. That is crazy. Who does something like that? Someone who wants to glorify God. Someone who has a sack lunch and says, I don't have enough, but I want to do what God is calling me to do. And so she's still there today, and I think she has 13 children. She didn't start an orphanage. She adopted. I'm their mother now, and she's this young lady. And we think, I think, I have a hard time with my 8 kids. She's doing something extraordinary with her faith. Maybe you've heard of Barbara Curtis. She had a website, mommylife.net. She had 8 children, and I think her 7th child was born with Down syndrome. And she was, it just rocked her world. She didn't know anything about it before the child was born. And she immediately thought, God has chosen me to be this child's mother because I'm special. And I have a special job to do. And so her whole family just fell in love with the baby boy. And then they came to realize there are many babies with Down syndrome being aborted because, they're not perfect in our eyes. And that broke their hearts. And they thought, we want to do something about this. And so they thought, if we adopt a baby boy with Down syndrome, that can be our child's friend forever, and they'll be, forever friends. The same mental age, you know what I'm saying? So they adopted a child with Down syndrome, and then they ended up having another baby of their own. So I think they had 10 children at that point. Well, then the adoption agency called them a couple years later and said, there's a mother with a baby with Down syndrome. She's pregnant, and she wants to abort the baby unless, somebody just happened to want a baby with Down syndrome. And she talked to her husband about it and was like, what can we do? Yes, we'll take another baby with Down syndrome. So now they have 3 children with Down syndrome. A couple years later, the adoption agency calls back and says, we have this other mother. That would be 4 children with Down syndrome. And she said, no, that would be nuts. I cannot do that. I'm sorry. I wish I could, but, I'm at my limit. I can't. And she hung up the phone, and she said she turned around, and her daughter was standing there and said, Mama, I can't believe you said no. That is what God has called you to do. And so she turned around, picked up the phone, and said, yes, we will. We will take that baby. So they have 4 sons with Down syndrome, and that makes 12 children altogether. And she has a wonderful blog where she encourages many homeschooling moms, but she recently died. I'm so sad. I don't know if anybody read about her. She had an aneurysm and just suddenly died. So now her husband is on his own. It's just, but he keeps up her blog, and he says, we often bit off more than we could chew, and then we had to chew it. But God has been with us all the way, and he will continue. So he's just continuing his journey of faith that he started with her. Now he's on his own with God, and he's continuing the work that God has set up for him to do. Extreme faith believes God can use ordinary people to accomplish his extraordinary purposes. If you're ordinary like I am, that's great news. If you're doing things that people think you can't do that, no. That's too much, that's crazy, why would you ever take that on? But if you're doing it because you hear God calling you to do it, that's extreme faith. That's why I'm here this weekend. That's why I'm homeschooling. It's crazy, I can't. There are days that I think, do you ever walk into a room and you think, what did I come in here for? I have a banana and a rubber band, now I can't remember what was I doing? Some days I feel that way in my homeschooling. I think, why did I think I could do this? What was I thinking again? Because I can't pull this off. So I feel that same way, like, what was I thinking, taking all this on? That's extreme faith. I have to rely on the Lord. I know that he has called me to do it, and it's the trite saying, if he calls you to it, he'll pull you through it. And I know that's true. I wanted to tell you a quote from Katie that wrote Kisses from Katie. Katie said, people tell me I'm brave, People tell me I'm strong. People tell me good job. Well, here's the truth of it. I'm really not that brave. I'm really not that strong. And I'm not doing anything spectacular. I'm just doing what God called me to do as a follower of Him. That's what I want to do. And I feel the same way. I'm not strong enough to do it. I'm not brave. Some days I think, I can't do it. But I feel like God is represented in my husband standing by my shoulder saying, yes, you can. You are doing it. You were designed to do it. I made you to do this. You can do it. And just like when I have the baby and it's all over and I'm so happy, I want to stick it out. I want to keep going and listen to the voice of the Lord telling me, yes, you can. And this is my purpose for you. This is my calling for you. So, I don't know how much time I have left. I hope I've encouraged you. I've been so encouraged by every single speaker in here, and I felt like everybody said a little bit of something that I had written down to tell you too. So I really think that is God telling us a common theme, to rely on Him. We can't do it on our own, and if you've homeschooled for very long, you know that's true. You can't do it on your own. So take heart in knowing that you're an ordinary person, but you're doing God's extraordinary work, and that's exactly the way He designed it, and that's exactly the way He made you the way you are. Thank you.